Christian, what does governance mean in the context of a wealthy family?
Having an effective board of directors is an element of governance of a family-owned business. But governance is about directing and controlling, and in the context of a family business, who controls the business? Ultimately, you want the family, and specifically the family members as shareholders, to be controlling the business. So to me, governing a family-owned business is about building the right forums and decision-making structures so that the family owners can govern and control and direct the business.
So why will some families fail, and how can this be avoided?
There's research into Chinese family businesses in Singapore and Malaysia, which concluded that the majority of Chinese family businesses will fail because of internal conflicts. And so those internal conflicts are basically because there's a confusion between ownership roles and management roles, or there's a confusion between family roles and business roles. So I met one family where 3 siblings had been working together equally in a business, and the way that these 3 siblings worked together was that they were quite an effective tag team. But then they each had their own children and brought their own children into the business, and the family rule was that anybody who's a family member has got to be treated exactly equally the same way as any other family member. So the end result was you had all of these cousins performing different jobs, all getting the same pay, or one cousin can walk into one division of the business and say, I think you should do X, Y, Z, and then another cousin can walk in and say, no, I think you should do A, B, C. So there was no hierarchy in the business. So there are many examples of where family businesses will get into conflicts and eventually fail because they cannot separate between what's a family issue and what is a business issue.
Christian, what is meant by a family council?
Governance is about creating some kind of forum, such as a family council, so that you can talk about what's the relationship between the family and the business, and how is the family going to deal with the typical types of predictable conflict issues which come up. So one issue is always around who can work in the family business. Another issue is always around, if you work in the family business, do you get paid? How do you get paid for working in the family business? Do you get feedback and performance appraisals if you're a family member working in the family business? And what's the difference between, what's the role of an owner versus what's the role of a manager?
So Christian, what are some of the consequences, and how can these be avoided, from families not having a family council in this way?
You can hear plenty of stories across Asia where you have younger generation family members. They come and join the family business. They think that they are the owner because they're the boss's son. They start telling the professional managers what to do, even though they should only be in a junior management role. And the professional managers quit because they're being mistreated by the boss's son, who doesn't know the difference between ownership and management. So the idea is to create a family council. The family council will agree on how they will make decisions together jointly as a family group. Hopefully the family council will make an effort to try to distinguish between family issues and business issues, and to take a business-like approach in the business, and then make family policies which enforce that there should be a business-like approach taken around business issues, and also make policies that enforce, have a clear understanding of what's the role of the shareholders in the family business, have a clear understanding of how you're going to balance cases where there's a conflict between what the outside shareholders want and the inside shareholders want, but let the managers manage the business without interference.
Christian, what's involved in the process of ensuring effective family governance?
Part of the process is you start off, you have a sort of one-on-one interviews with the different family members, so that you get to hear each person, you listen to them, you hear their perspective of issues. And then step 2 of the process is, often you'll give some kind of feedback report, but you'll bring the family members together to have a family meeting. And you learn that it's all about communication with the family members. And that points to it being very, very important over the long term to have some kind of regular family meeting or some kind of or establish a formal family council, so that there's an ongoing process of being able to have the family members come together and talk. So fundamentally, governance is about how the family members communicate together. You want to help them to improve their communication. You want to help them to be able to draw a good distinction between what's a family issue and what's a business issue. And you want to help the family to come up with a fair process for making joint decisions together.